24 months ago, I started investing in a brand new portfolio right here on this channel. I started out by investing $5 every single trading day into one index fund. And in today's video, I'm going to be going over how my portfolio has changed after nearly 2 years. And then I'll also be going over how my entire portfolio has performed over the last 24 months. See, when I first started investing $5 into this portfolio on every single trading day, I really didn't know what to expect. I didn't have a plan. I simply wanted to see if I invested small amounts of money on every single trading day, what would happen? Would I actually start to see an account that was growing, or was it just a waste of time? And since that time, many of you guys have jumped in and started investing along with me. Some of you guys have never invested before. Some of you have invested in the past and you just weren't really serious about it. But a lot of you guys left me comments and you were watching my videos, and we started building out that portfolio together. And then we added a second index fund, and then a third index fund. And then we also added a cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. And it went from a $5 a day investment challenge to a small portfolio builder challenge. And now we just invest and chill. Over the last 24 months, we've seen a lot of activity happen in the market. We have seen interest rates go up. We have seen inflation go up. We have seen tariffs introduced into the US economy. And we've also seen a lot of movement in the AI space. And through all of that, we've stayed consistent and we've continued to invest to build out our portfolio. And after 2 years of investing on every single trading day, I'm actually satisfied with where my portfolio is at this time. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. Let's take a look at how my portfolio has been performing over the last 24 months. Just as an FYI, if you're new here or you haven't caught any of my previous content, I'm using 2 brokerage accounts that I'm considering one portfolio. So I use Webull to invest in my index funds, and I'm using Robinhood to invest in Bitcoin, but I'm considering them to be one portfolio. And right now we're going to take a look at my Webull brokerage, and then I'll jump in and I'll briefly go over my Robinhood portfolio as well. All right, so now we're taking a look at my portfolio in Webull. And if you look to the top left here, you'll see that I have a net account value of $8,654.65. And on the day, I have a daily P&L of $5.66. And I'm down 0.07% on the day. So not a lot, not worried about that at all. There's always these peaks and valleys every single day in the market. And if you look right below that, I have an open P&L of $893.33, and I'm up 11.82%. So in 24 months, I am up almost $900, and I'm up almost 12% across my entire portfolio. Now, if you look below that, $203.58 is just in my account. So that's money that was transferred from my checking account into this investment account that's just waiting to be allocated on every single trading day. Keep in mind that of the $8,654 that you see at the top, $203 of that is included in that balance. It's just not invested yet. And then the settled cash amount, that's just the same amount as the cash balance. It's in the account. It's been settled. I think it takes 2 or 3 business days for a cash transfer to settle in your account. And then I have a total market value of $8,451.08. So that's the amount that I have invested in these index funds minus my cash balance there. And then if you look right below that, I have a buying power of $195.18 and an option buying power of $195.18. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you, not sure what the discrepancy is between the cash balance and the buying power and the options buying power, but I don't invest in options in this account. So to be honest with you, it really doesn't matter to me. Now, if you look below that, you'll see I have 3 positions in this portfolio. I have VGT, and as you can see, I have a total market value in VGT of $2,436.58. And then right beside that, you see the gold or the orange DRIP, which is the dividend reinvestment program. And that's what you set up to make sure that the dividends that are paid out are reinvested right back into the position. And as you can see, I have the open P&L there of $352.99. And then below that, we have SCHD, $2,982.62. Open P&L of $31.48, which is nice to see because on my last update on SCHD, it was a little iffy because that position has been kind of trading sideways over the last few months. Not worried about that. I'll get into why I'm investing in each one of these momentarily. And then of course, VOO, $3,031.88. And we have an open P&L of $508.85. So before I go ahead and flip over to my P&L, just want to give you a quick rationale of why I selected each one of these investments. VGT is an aggressive growth index fund that focuses on IT related companies like NVIDIA, AMD, Palantir, companies like that are heavily weighted in this fund. SCHD is a dividend paying index fund. The basis for this is investing in blue chip companies that have a long history of paying out a dividend. So that's what that play is for. And then VOO is investing in the S&P 500. It mirrors the S&P 500, which invests in the 500 largest companies within the US. And then of course, starting here in a couple of days, I'm going to be investing in Vanguard's VTI, which is the total index fund. So every single US company that trades on the stock market is in that fund, and we're going to be able to have a piece of the entire US stock market by investing in VTI. I'm not going to go into the performance of each one of these individual investments. I make individual update videos for each one of these. If you're interested in checking those out, I'll make sure to link those down in the description below. All right, let's flip over. Let's take a look at the P&L tab here on Webull. So if you look at the top here, the range that we selected for this overview is from January 1st of 2024 to 12/26, which is today, of 2025. And we have an overall P&L of $1,006.78. I know that's a little bit different from the last tab that we reviewed, but I'll make sure to show you why that's different. And then we have an overall P&L of 13.16%. And then the SPX, which is also the S&P 500, is at plus 45.28%. That's a little misleading. Not really going to go into that on this video. Webull uses the money weighted rate of return. I'll give you an update on what that is here in a moment, but we'll go ahead down and we'll take a look at the trend analysis. And right now you could see that the orange line is the S&P 500 and my investment is the green line here. And as you could see, up almost 18%. And again, Webull uses the money weighted rate of return. And essentially what the money weighted rate of return is it measures an investment performance by factoring the size and timing of cash flows, deposits with withdrawals, essentially acting as a portfolio internal rate of return, showing your impact on returns rather than just market performance. Now, that's the reason that I said I'm not really too worried about where it's showing the S&P 500 at 45% and then showing that our overall return is at 18% because Webull uses the money weighted rate of return. And that's not something that I like to use when I'm talking about the overall performance of my investment. And if you look right below that, you'll see that I have a realized P&L of $120.40. And then of course I've received $120.40 in dividends. So those two numbers are the same, essentially because our realized P&L is the actual amount that we've received in dividends over the last 24 months, which is that $120.40. So if you add that $120.40 that was reinvested back into my positions, that's how we have a P&L that's different from the first page that I showed you. So it was $893 roughly that my P&L was, my open P&L was on the initial page, and then it's showing 1,006 right here. It's because we're taking that dividend that we received and we're adding it to our open P&L. If we take a look at my investment in Bitcoin, which I use Robinhood for, we have a total value of $860.39. And I also have $100 of unallocated funds that are sitting in the account. So we have a total of $960 in Robinhood that we would add to our overall portfolio. So when we first started out investing in this portfolio, my initial goal was $2,500, then $5,000. And then the current goal that I'm working towards is $10,000. And then next it'll be $20,000 and beyond. So let's take a look at the overall total of my portfolios whenever I add Webull and Robinhood together. So as of right now, I have a total value of $9,614.46. So close to my next goal of $10,000 in this portfolio. If you started investing with me at any point over the last 24 months, leave a comment down below and let me know, what are you investing in and what is the total value of your portfolio? If you're getting some value from this video, consider subscribing, and while you're at it, smash that like button. I would really appreciate it. All right, so after 24 months of investing in this portfolio, I have an overall P&L of $1,000. I'm including the dividends because that's money that I've received from investing in each one of those investments. Not too bad when you think about how this all started with just $5 every single day into VOOs. All right, so what's next? As we continue to invest, we already have our plan laid out for 2026. There are 251 investing days in 2026, and let's take a look at how those are gonna break down as of today. So right now, the plan is to invest $2,510 into VGT, $2,510 in SCHD, $1,255 in VOO, $2,400 into Bitcoin, and $1,255 into VTI. So for 2026, the amount that I'm going to be investing in this portfolio is $9,930. Now, of course, that could change depending on outside factors. If I add an additional index fund into this portfolio, then of course that number will go up. Or if I decide to remove an investment, maybe I take something out and I use that money for something else. So as of right now, the plan is $9,930. And if everything goes according to plan, then I'm expecting to be sitting here next year in 2026, and we have surpassed the next goal, which is $20,000 in this portfolio. So there's a couple of things that have went right with this portfolio that I started investing in. Number one is it has encouraged a lot of you to start investing. Some of you guys had no idea you could invest with as little as $5 or $10 every single day, especially in an index fund like VOO. So that's one of the things that I've been able to accomplish by starting this portfolio on my channel, is getting people to understand that they can start investing and it doesn't take as much money as they think. Secondly, I've started to build a little bit of wealth, and it's demonstrated right here live for you guys. I only go into these portfolios when I'm providing this update. So I don't really check my investments. They're set up on autopilot. I set that up about a year ago, and I don't even go into them unless I'm providing you guys with an update. That's where we came up with the invest and chill. We're not worried about it. We know that we're investing into the stock market, into our positions, and we're just gonna let it do its thing. And we also learned that consistency is key, right? So one of the biggest things is showing, hey, investing this $5 is not a ton of money, right? We don't expect to get rich by investing $5 every single day, but it builds the habit of consistency. And it allows us to see that if we continue to move in a certain direction, we'll see some movement, albeit they may be smaller movements, but what does that do for us? If you started investing in 2025 with me and you saw some movement in your position, 2026, you're likely thinking, how do I invest more money in 2026 than I did in 2025? And to me, that's a win. Now, the things that didn't go so well was my investment in Bitcoin. I started investing at that at or near all-time highs. And right now that position is pulling back and I'm down. I think it was about 8 to 12% the last time I checked. I'll double check right after this video. But one thing that I can learn from that is it's okay if I'm investing while it's pulling down, because since I'm investing weekly in that position, the longer it stays on the downside, it brings down my overall average price over time. Hope that makes sense. One last thing that I learned by investing in this portfolio is that there's really no excuse to why most people can't start investing into the stock market. If you go to lunch with your coworkers 3 days a week, there's no reason why you can't cut that down to 2 so you can save a little bit of money that you can then use to invest into the market. If you go out to eat 4, 5, 6 times a month, maybe you cut that down by 2 and now you have additional money to invest. If you're gonna spend $5,000 going on a vacation, maybe you cut that in half and spend $2,500 or $3,000 and you invest the rest. See, there's ways that we can go about investing in the stock market or investing in something that's gonna actually have a positive return in the future. It doesn't have to be the stock market, but investing in general. All right, so that's the overview of my investment over the last 24 months. I really appreciate all the people that have joined along this journey and are now starting to invest and chill. If you're looking to join a community where people hold each other accountable while also keeping each other motivated, check out the channel membership that I just launched on my page and make sure you join the community.